Hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you've ever really tried to change a habit, you've probably come up against this quiet, and let's be honest, pretty frustrating question that sits at the heart of it all. What is the actual science of making a change that lasts? How many times have we said this to ourselves? It's like the classic Sunday night promise, right? Just full of hope and determination.
And you know what? We do mean it. We absolutely mean it. In that moment, the conviction is just so real, you can feel it. You know exactly what you need to do. And then, well, Monday happens.
So what's going on there? That gap, that huge canyon between who we want to be and what we actually do. It's the big mystery, isn't it? And it's so easy to chalk it up to a personal failure. I just don't have enough discipline, right? But what if the problem has nothing to do with your willpower?
And that right there, that's the key we're going to unlock today. Because this struggle, it is not a character flaw. It's literally a feature of how our brains are built. And understanding that, man, it doesn't just give you knowledge. It gives you a much kinder and way more effective path forward. So let's dive in and take a look at how our brains are wired.
Okay, so to really get why change can feel like swimming upstream, we have to look at the system we're dealing with. Just think of it like this. Your brain is constantly running this powerful automatic software in the background of your life, a script.
Researcher Charles Duhigg actually gave this script a name. He called it the habit loop. And it's this super simple three-part process that, believe it or not, drives almost everything we do on autopilot. I'm talking everything from brushing your teeth to how you instinctively react when you get a stressful email.
So here's how it works. These three parts just link up perfectly. First, you've got the cue. That's the trigger, right? It could be a time of day, a certain feeling, even a place. Then comes the routine. That's the thing you automatically do, the behavior itself. And finally, the reward. That's the little payoff that tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember this loop. So a classic example. The cue, feeling stressed or maybe just bored. The routine, grabbing your phone and just scrolling and scrolling. And the reward, that little hit of distraction, that little dopamine bump.
So why on earth does our brain do this? Well, it's not because it's lazy. Actually, it's the opposite. It's a master of efficiency. It wants to automate as much as possible to save brain power for the hard stuff, for new challenges. And think about it. Every single time you run that loop, it's like walking down the same path in a forest. The path just gets clearer, wider, and easier to walk down. That neural pathway becomes a super fast highway.
And this is where we usually get it wrong. This brings us to the biggest trap we all fall into. We see the pattern and we think, okay, I'm just going to muscle my way through this, pure willpower. But it almost always backfires. And there's a fascinating biological reason for that. Okay, think about this. The moment we slip up, what's our first reaction? Usually it's beating ourselves up, right? Self-criticism, guilt, shame, the whole package. Well, according to researcher Kelly McGonigal, when we do that, we're actually flooding our brain with stress chemicals. And guess what a stressed out brain craves? Immediate gratification, comfort. So that self-criticism literally, biologically, pushes us right back toward the very habit we're trying to escape. The alternative, it's a total game changer. It's self-compassion. It's about being mindful, realizing, hey, everyone struggles with this, and giving ourselves a little encouragement instead of a kick in the ribs.
All right, so if brute force willpower doesn't work, then what does? This is where the science gets really hopeful. Because it turns out our brains are literally designed to be rewired.
And here's the secret, if you can call it that. It's not about one big, dramatic moment of decision. It's not a superhero movie. Real change, it's the sum of 1,000 tiny, consistent, and yeah, often imperfect moments where you just choose something a little different.
The amazing scientific principle that makes all of this possible is called neuroplasticity. It's a fancy word for a simple, incredible idea. Your brain isn't set in stone. It's more like clay. At any age, you can build new connections, new pathways, just by what you repeatedly think, feel, and do.
And this is a really important point from MIT neuroscientist Ann Graybiel. You're not erasing the old path. That old superhighway in your brain, it's still there. But what you're doing is building a new road. And every time you choose the new behavior, you're paving that new road, making it smoother, wider, and faster. Eventually, it becomes the brain's new default highway.
Okay, so this all sounds great, but what do we actually do? How do we start building that new road? Well, it all begins with one surprisingly small first step.
Here's the mission should you choose to accept it. For 1 week, don't try to change anything. Seriously, nothing. Your only job is to be a detective. Just observe. Get curious about your own habit loop. When does that urge pop up? What happens right before? Are you bored, stressed, lonely? Is it a certain time of day? You see, the real power isn't in fighting the behavior, it's in finding the cue.
And this is the magic of it, that tiny moment of just noticing, of seeing the cue and going, oh, hey, there it is. That moment is a new routine. It's a little spark of awareness that breaks the automatic script. Right there, in that split second, you are literally starting to build the new path.
Okay, before we wrap up, I want to share what I think is honestly the most important and probably the kindest part of this whole journey.
Listen, you're gonna slip up. The old habit will show up again. It's inevitable. Sometimes it'll happen so fast you won't even see it coming. And when it does, please, please don't let it become a story about you being a failure.
Because it's not. When your brain snaps back to that old familiar loop, it's not a moral failing. It's just physics. It's the river of your mind flowing down the deepest, most well-worn channel. That's all it is. It's just information. It is not a judgment.
And that moment, the one right after you realize what just happened, that is the most powerful moment of all. That's where all your power is. Because you have a choice. Are you going to go down that other well-worn path of shame and self-criticism? Or are you going to just take a breath and simply notice?
Because to begin again, it doesn't mean you're back at square one. Not at all. It just means you're continuing the practice. Every single time you choose to just gently begin again, you're doing another rep for the muscle of awareness. You're proving to yourself that you haven't given up. You are still on the path. And that feeling, right there, that is what real change actually feels like.